Live apparently getting under President Trump's skin this weekend. President Trump tweeted, "How do the networks get away with these total Republican hit jobs without retribution? Very unfair and should be looked into. This is the real collusion." That tweet came after this sketch.
In the opening sequence, the tension between President Trump and Saturday Night Live reignited when Trump's anger spilled onto Twitter. He questioned how television networks could broadcast what he described as Republican hit jobs without facing consequences, calling the comedy sketches unfair and demanding they be looked into. This reaction stemmed from an SNL segment that ridiculed his administration, prompting Trump to equate satire with political collusion. The tweet reflected a president unable to distinguish mockery from menace, treating comedy as an act of rebellion rather than free expression. It also revealed his obsession with control, an instinct to retaliate against any portrayal that undermined his carefully managed image.
President Trump traveled to the Middle East this week, and if I were him, I would have just stayed there because it looked awesome. Trump arrived in Saudi Arabia, where he was greeted with a lavender carpet which matched the color of his tie and also the length. They also rolled out a mobile McDonald's truck for President Trump's visit, featuring Saudi Arabia's most popular new burger, the McJournalist.
The show turned its spotlight to Trump's visit to the Middle East, transforming a diplomatic tour into a comedic carnival. SNL portrayed the event with sharp irony, Trump being greeted by a lavender carpet matching his tie, symbolizing vanity disguised as diplomacy. The punchline, a fictional McJournalist burger served from a mobile McDonald's truck, mocked Trump's transactional approach to foreign relations. Beneath the humor was a critique of spectacle over substance. Diplomacy became a photo op, not policy. The sketch cleverly underscored how global engagements under Trump often resembled branding opportunities rather than acts of statecraft.
The government finally represented the people when it just completely shut down. Honestly, didn't it feel like the government kind of needed a break, just so we could all catch our breath? Can you believe we're only 9 months into this presidency? That means we still have 3 months and 7 years remaining. I already tried fighting. I'm tired. I went to so many protests this summer, but honestly, it was worth it because we finally got them to change the Cracker Barrel logo back to the original, featuring my actual grandpa.
When the government shut down, SNL transformed political dysfunction into absurdist comedy. Colin Jost joked that the shutdown gave the nation a much-needed break, framing it as America's collective exhale after months of chaos. The humor wasn't just about bureaucracy. It exposed exhaustion. 9 months into Trump's presidency felt like years, and the exaggerated timeline, 3 months and 7 years remaining, captured national fatigue. Jost's sharp wit turned civic failure into cultural commentary, implying that under Trump, even pauses in governance felt like brief reprieves from a relentless reality show.
America elected Donald Trump to run the country like a business, but it turns out he's running it like one of his businesses. I love that you can intentionally ruin the economy and still get to stay president. It's like if you drunk drove your car through the window of the DMV and they were like, "License renewed." It's insane. This was the worst week for the stock market since the summer of 2020. But you have to remember, back then, the president was also Trump.
SNL's writers drew parallels between Trump's business ventures and his governance, noting the irony of electing a man famous for bankruptcy to manage a nation. The sketch mocked Trump's self-image as an economic genius, comparing his presidency to crashing a car into the DMV only to have his license renewed. The metaphor underscored absurd accountability. Despite chaos and failure, Trump remained unscathed. When the stock market faltered, it was someone else's fault. When it rose, he claimed total credit. Through humor, SNL exposed a pattern of denial and self-praise that blurred responsibility with self-promotion.
Trump issued a proclamation ending Indigenous Peoples Day and calling Christopher Columbus the original American hero. So while Trump is rounding up people with ICE, he's praising Columbus, a guy who literally brought boatloads of Hispanics to America.
Really wants to retaliate against a comedy show. He wants somebody to look into what SNL is doing. Who, the comedy police?
Yeah, laugh so you don't cry. Seriously, look, he should not be talking about retribution. It's unpresidential. And yet, we've seen this story for the last 2 years. He'll make a ridiculous threat that's completely inappropriate, but then he doesn't do anything about it. and everybody forgets about it, and everybody moves on. I mean, he's threatened NBC's licenses in the past and then not done anything about it. But I do think he's giving Alec Baldwin exactly what Alec Baldwin wants. I could actually argue that Baldwin's sketch and his impersonations getting a little boring, getting a little tired, getting a little predictable. But then President Trump comes along and gives it new life and gives it new energy. And I think in a way, Trump keeps Baldwin going playing Trump. You know what I mean? They're locked in this twisted relationship.
In one biting moment, the show targeted Trump's attempt to reshape American holidays and historical memory. By joking that he ended Indigenous Peoples Day to celebrate Columbus, the man who brought boatloads of Hispanics to America, SNL illuminated the hypocrisy in Trump's rhetoric. The humor lay in contradiction. A president condemning immigrants while glorifying the original colonizer. The segment used irony to challenge nationalism masquerading as heritage, pointing out how Trump's version of patriotism often clashed with historical truth.
Trump has been named Time's Person of the Year because no person on earth has taken up more of our goddamn time. Trump also said Friday that he would try to permanently end daylight savings time by challenging the sun to a staring contest.
SNL ridiculed Trump's relentless pursuit of attention by awarding him Time's Person of the Year for consuming more of our goddamn time than anyone else. The sketch's rhythm mirrored Trump's own bravado, lampooning his self-aggrandizing nature and absurd proposals, such as challenging the sun to a staring contest to end daylight savings. The writers balanced parody with precision, turning exaggeration into insight. A presidency so obsessed with spectacle that even time itself became an opponent.
Saturday, the First Amendment may be at the center of Saturday Night Live's Season 51 premiere. Caitlin Huamani reports President Trump has had Saturday Night Live in his crosshairs for years, and it could be his next late-night target. Huamani says Trump has repeatedly blasted the show as unfunny and partisan, despite making appearances in 2004 and 2015. His appearance 10 years ago sparked controversy, but NBC executives defended the decision.
In a more grounded segment, the show referenced actual news coverage of Trump's feud with SNL. Reporters discussed his history with the program, his appearances, his anger, and his inability to ignore it. This meta-commentary blurred entertainment and reality, showing that Trump's criticism had become part of SNL's own narrative. It reminded viewers that political satire isn't just a performance. It's a record of public reaction, where the subject himself often fuels the punchline by responding exactly as expected.
He protested President Trump's plans to accept a $400 million luxury jet from Qatar by flying a banner over Mar-a-Lago reading Qatar-a-Lago. It's the kind of hilarious stunt that makes you realize why the Democrats will never win again. Ethical experts are also warning that Trump may owe political favors to countries who give him lavish gifts. But based on the way he left the Middle East, I think I know how Trump is going to pay them back.
Another sketch touched on Trump's controversial relationship with foreign benefactors. SNL mocked reports that he had accepted a luxury jet from Qatar, visualizing Democrats protesting by flying a banner reading Qatar-Lago. The humor lay in the absurdity of corruption normalized. Trump's presidency, the sketch implied, blurred personal profit with national policy. Even as ethics experts raised alarms, the show found laughter in the transparency of greed, mocking not just the act but the casual audacity behind it.
President Trump also spoke to a group of military leaders this week, and at one point, he went on a long rant about how good Barack Obama was at walking downstairs. Here's what he said. I'm not going to read it because it's a crazy thing to hear from a president.
SNL's writers targeted Trump's favorite bragging point, the economy, and dismantled it with surgical humor. They portrayed him as a gambler who celebrated every jackpot and blamed others for every loss. Facts became optional, accountability disappeared, and truth turned into performance. The punchline: Trump didn't drain the swamp, he expanded the pool membership, cut through the myth of reform. The sketch revealed that his presidency wasn't about cleaning corruption but rebranding it, transforming scandal into spectacle.
Hours ago, at a rally, Donald Trump called Kamala Harris, quote, a mentally disabled person. Just straight up. Which is amazing. I cannot believe that Trump admitted he lost the debate to a mentally disabled person. You can really tell that Trump is worried about this election because now he's just lashing out, hoping anything will work. Look.
I could have been sunbathing on the beach. You have never seen a body so beautiful. Much better than Sleepy Joe.
In this sketch, Trump's peculiar fixation on President Obama became the target. SNL parroted him praising Obama's ability to walk downstairs, mocking the absurdity of a president obsessed with trivialities. The joke captured Trump's insecurity, his need to compare himself to his predecessor even in the most meaningless ways. Through exaggerated mimicry, the show highlighted a deeper truth: that under Trump, presidential discourse had devolved into pettiness and spectacle. SNL revisited Trump's inflammatory campaign rhetoric, spotlighting his comment calling Kamala Harris a mentally disabled person. The writers flipped the insult back on him with biting irony. It's amazing he admitted he lost the debate to a mentally disabled person. The humor exposed not only the cruelty, but the self-sabotage in Trump's language. The audience laughter wasn't merely amusement. It was recognition of the moral absurdity at play, where outrage had become Trump's last political tool. In the closing segment, SNL mirrored Trump's threat to cancel the show, turning his fury into poetic irony. The idea that a president would try to silence satire was presented as the ultimate joke, a testament to comedy's enduring power. The segment suggested that while Trump's outrage might trend for days, satire would last for years. Through laughter, SNL affirmed a democratic truth: power that fears humor is already weakened. The sketch ended not with cruelty but clarity, reminding viewers that comedy, when honest, becomes history's truest record.